life more generally. There's no complete or definitive interpretation either for analysts or participants, but you want an end product that is mindful of the scholarly virtues of care, coherence, accuracy, accountability, skepticism and cumulative comparison. You want an account that's sufficiently plausible to stand up to the scrutiny from other analysts, and that's open to reformulation in terms that participants can engage with, and that speaks to wider intellectual and social concerns. Okay? So that is a programmatic sketch of methodology. Okay, and we could stop there and have a long chat, but we won't. The question is, what kind of account does that all actually generate? Okay, now, to give you an idea, I'm going to turn to some research I did looking at what social class meant, for a group of 13 and 14-year-olds in a multi-ethnic comprehensive school in inner London. Okay, so I'm now on section 2, social class and interaction. Now, I didn't set out, in the research I'm going to tell you about, to look at social class per se, but I was interested in what was happening when these youngsters put on exaggerated posh and Cockney accents. I had an intuition that class relations and class identities would be relevant, and I got quite a lot of initial encouragement for the idea of linking class and social interaction together from readings of, for example, E.P. Thompson, Raymond Williams, Bourdieu, Beverly Skeggs, Diane Ray. Still, okay, so I knew there was something going on there, and I knew I could kind of pull something interesting out. Okay. Still, the main job of the analysis started with the transcription of sections of speech from my radio microphone recordings of spontaneous interaction. And coming up now is an example taken from the start of a science lesson. Now, in the episode, Hanif, the protagonist, has been away from his table looking around for a book he needs for the writing work that they've been set. But now he's arrived back bringing a copy of the book with him, and in the transcript here, it's the hyper-Cockney pronunciation of galaxies, the word galaxies in line 11, that provides the point of departure for what I'm going to say. Okay, so there's the transcript. Okay, and here's the recording, which I'll just play twice. Okay. There we go.
We do. I need it the most. We really do. All these other things would be said.
One more time.
We do. I need it the most. We really do. All these other things would be said.
All right. It's a starting point. Now, let's see what we can do with that. Okay. In lines 2 to 4, Hanif asks Aaron what he's doing. And after that, in line 6, he tries to ward off some kind of territorial incursion. Exactly who's trying what isn't clear from the audio tape, but Hanif follows it up with a reproach in lines 8 and 9. There's no audible apology or retort. The matter drops, and Hanif then turns to his worksheet, reading the title aloud and ending the word galaxies with an exaggerated Cockney diphthong, which after in playback he said, oh yeah, that's exaggerated. Yeah, that's exaggerated Cockney. So, yeah, it's not just me listening to that and identifying as exaggerated Cockney. Well, to begin with, it's linguistic phonetics that helps to pin down the pronunciation, differentiating Galaxy's from Hanif's normal accent and lining it up with Broad London. Now, the next step is to try and understand what's going on interactionally in line 11. And it's here that Irving Goffman's work is useful. Hanif seems to be talking to himself when he reads the Stars and Galaxies worksheet title, seems to be dedicating himself to the solitary task ahead. But, as Goffman says, we're still very alert to the people around us when we talk to ourselves in public. And so, in Hanif's self-talk, we're entitled to see an orientation to the overhearers nearby. In fact, reading out the worksheet title, Hanif's also consolidating a shift of footing, displaying his upcoming involvement in the curriculum task, disengaging from the business with his friends. Now, if we add into this the ethnographic observation that Broad Cockney was quite often associated with informal sociability, we can move to an initial interpretation of what's going on here. Hanif may be starting up on schoolwork, but in rounding off the title with Hyper Cockney, he's toning down the signs of his school commitment, showing that he's not a nerd, that he's still in tune. In fact, dwelling on this a bit longer, there's a case for saying that when Hanif uses Cockney to read aloud from a school text, he's contradicting what you'd normally expect. Normally, people's pronunciation gets posher when they read aloud or when they turn to school business. But Hanif's doing the opposite, and this becomes more pronounced if we follow the activity unfolding over several minutes. I'll only report on this, not show you. Shortly after this extract, Hanif's exclamations suggest that he's really quite interested in the subject matter. Wow, oh my God. But at the same time, he continues weaving exaggerated accents into the task. We get a quasi-Jamaican version of Stars and Galaxies a little later on. And then, after a period of attentive silent reading, he begins to turn the worksheet into quiz questions for the other boys on his table. Indeed, at one stage of this quiz, he uses a hyper-Cockney version of okay, to get Simon and Aaron to attend to the question coming up. And at moments like these, the exaggerated Cockney seems to go further than just toning down the sign of Hanif's own school commitment. At moments like these, it looks as though he's trying to make the classroom work more interesting and accessible to his friends. And that there's a case for saying that Hanif's vernacularizing school knowledge, bringing the science worksheet to life with non-standard accents and a popular TV genre. Quiz. Okay. Now, so far, I've focused on an encounter, and I've drawn on linguistics and Goffmanian interaction analysis. We've had the vowel sound, galaxies, the interactional dynamics of the utterance in line 11, self-talk designed to be overheard, and the genre mixing in the development of subsequent activity, curriculum worksheet getting mixed up with a quiz. Now, at that point, I think, what I found, it's vital to broaden the focus beyond this particular episode in at least two ways. On the one hand, we need to situate this episode in longer ethnographic observation of Hanif, okay? And on the other, we need to try and bring in other episodes where Posh and Cockney get stylized. Now, unfortunately, there's time only for the briefest summary, but taking ethnographic familiarity with Hanif first, yes, the challenge in Extract 1 to traditional equations of book learning and poshness, the challenge to the equation of book learning and poshness fits with a much more general pattern. Hanif often combined a commitment to learning with flagrant disregard for the decorums that learning is